The GI generation, 1901–1927. The GI generation, often called the Greatest Generation, includes those born from the early 1900s up until the start of the Great Depression in 1929. They came of age during a time of immense hardship and went on to fight in World War II or support the war effort from the home front. Many from this generation served as soldiers, factory workers, engineers, or women stepping into critical roles while men were away at war. They represent the values of sacrifice, discipline, loyalty, and deep patriotism. The term Greatest Generation was popularized by journalist Tom Brokaw, who praised their courage, sense of duty, and resilience, qualities he believed were unmatched by any generation that followed. In terms of lifestyle, they valued stability, frugality, and hard work. They believed in traditional morals, respected authority, and often put the needs of the community before themselves. The GI generation laid the foundation for post-war recovery and economic growth in many Western countries, especially the United States. They are the parents of the baby boomers and remain a lasting symbol of what it means to work hard and live with responsibility. The Silent Generation, 1928–1945. The Silent Generation includes those born between the late 1920s and the end of World War II. They were raised during a time of global economic depression, food shortages, and war, though most were too young to serve in WW II like the generation before them. The term silent doesn't mean they had no voice, but rather that they were brought up in a culture that valued discipline, conformity, and not standing out. They learned to work quietly, avoid protest, and believed that patience and hard work were the keys to success. This generation witnessed major historical shifts like the Cold War, the Civil Rights Movement, and post-war industrial expansion. While not typically at the forefront of social revolutions, they played a critical role in preserving social stability and traditional values during times of dramatic change. In life and work, they valued loyalty, responsibility, and long-term stability. They helped lay the foundation for organizational ethics, career longevity, and professional discipline that influenced many generations after them. The Baby Boomers, 1946–1964. The baby boomers were born in the post-World War II era during a time of explosive population growth as soldiers returned home and began building new lives. The name baby boomers comes from this massive birth rate surge, the largest demographic boom of the 20th century. They came of age during a period of strong economic expansion, the rise of the middle class, and rapid urbanization. This generation witnessed iconic moments in history: the moon landing, anti-war movements, civil rights struggles, and the explosion of pop culture. Baby boomers were the first generation to seriously challenge the system, once rebellious youth demanding freedom and civil rights. Yet as they grew older, many became deeply committed to hard work, personal success, and social status. They pursued the American dream with intensity and placed high value on financial stability and achievement. In many countries, they became the backbone of the modern economy and went on to hold leadership roles across industries for decades. Generation X, 1965–1980. Generation X was born between two major waves, after the baby boomers and before the tech-savvy millennials. Often referred to as the forgotten generation, Gen Xers are neither the loudest nor the largest, but they are fiercely independent and highly adaptable. They grew up during a time of major global shifts: the Cold War, oil crises, rising divorce rates, and the rapid growth of mass media. They were the first latchkey kids, children who came home from school to empty houses and learned early how to take care of themselves. Having witnessed social and political upheaval, Gen Xers became pragmatic, skeptical, and resourceful. They don't place blind faith in institutions, but value personal freedom and work-life balance. They were also the first to experience personal computers and the internet, bridging the gap between the analog world and the digital age. Though not always in the spotlight, Generation X plays a vital role in today's global workforce, as managers, engineers, professionals, and creatives shaping the modern digital era. Generation Y, 1981–1996. Millennials, also known as Generation Y, grew up alongside the rise of digital technology, the internet, social media, and globalization. They are the first truly connected generation, from email and Yahoo to Facebook and Instagram, witnessing the dramatic shift from an analog to a digital world. This generation came of age during turbulent times: 9/11, the 2008 global financial crisis, and a rapidly changing job market. As a result, millennials are flexible and deeply aware of social values like equality, sustainability, and environmental responsibility. Often labeled as tech-obsessed, unable to afford homes, or too demanding, millennials are in fact creative, ambitious, and lifelong learners. They value experiences over material possessions, care about mental health, and aren't afraid to pivot in search of purpose and fulfillment. Today, millennials make up the core of the global workforce, reshaping how we work, consume, and connect, with a greater emphasis on flexibility, digitization, and human-centric values than ever before. Generation Z, 1997 to 2012. Gen Z is the first generation born into a fully digital world, where the internet, smartphones, and social media aren't innovations, but everyday norms. They didn't just grow up with technology, they are technology. Things like cassette tapes, desktop computers, or flip phones sound like fairy tales to them. Coming of age during the rise of social media, Gen Zers are independent thinkers, fast information processors, and self-learners. But they also face modern challenges: image pressure online, social anxiety, and the constant flood of misinformation. This generation values diversity, equality, and individuality. They reject traditional labels and norms and seek safe spaces to express who they are. Gen Z is also highly entrepreneurial. Many choose freelancing, content creation, or starting their own businesses over the typical 9-to-5 job path. Though still young, Gen Z is already reshaping the world, from consumer habits and pop culture to the way companies must evolve to stay relevant. Generation Alpha, 2013-present. Generation Alpha is the youngest generation today, the children of millennials and some Gen Zers. They're growing up in a world where technology isn't just fast-moving, it's smart. AI, robots, smart homes, and digital education are normal parts of their environment. Unlike Gen Z, Alphas don't need to adapt to technology, they're born into it. iPads, voice assistants, and YouTube Kids are part of their earliest memories. This makes them incredibly tech-savvy, fast learners, and digitally literate at a very young age. But it also raises concerns about real-world social skills and screen dependency. Alpha is also the first generation to be exposed so early to global issues like climate change, artificial intelligence, and cultural diversity. They're expected to become globally minded, bold thinkers who will lead some of the most significant changes of the 21st century. Though still young, Alphas are already shaping the future, not just with the tech they use, but with how they view and interact with the world around them.